Hey there, and welcome back. I got a hot one in the works here, so stick around. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Now, when you think about shooting after dark, traditionally you've got a couple of options. You've got night vision, which you've seen me use in previous videos on the channel, out to and beyond 1,000 yards, very effectively depending on ambient lighting. But something that I've run across recently, and I'm sure you have too, which is why you tuned into this channel, is thermal. It seems like thermal imagery is getting all kinds of attention right now. It seems like the technology is really coming a long ways from where it used to be, and price points seem to be trending downward. So that's exactly what happened here. I've always had my eye on thermal, but I felt like thermal was way too expensive to get into the game and play with. Recently, however, I ran across the Steiner C35. When I started researching this unit, I found the price point on this is extremely attractive. I was actually able to get into this unit for less money than I purchased either my used PVS 30 or my used PVS 27. So a brand new unit for significantly less money than night vision. So with that in mind, I decided to pull the trigger on this unit so that I could try some thermal at distance and see how effective I could be with this unit on top of a precision rifle. I wanted to take this unit and try to answer some of the questions that I've had probably for years, and I'm guessing you as a viewer have since you tuned into this channel. So now that I've got thermal, what I wanted to do was pair it with a precision rifle, some open space, and see what we can do as far as stretching the distance on a package like this. How far can I make hits? How far can we identify targets, etc. So if you're into that kind of information, stick around because I'm going to cover everything that you're probably interested in knowing about clip-on thermal and specifically the Steiner C35 in this video. So join me now for a gear overview, and then we'll move into the shooting portion. So let's take a quick look at the gear we're going to be running out here. So for a thermal unit, I've got the Steiner C35, which you can see is a clip-on device. So it's got a built-in Picatinny mount up front that it comes with, and it clips just in front of your day optic and then clamps down. So very secure, very easy to install. On top of the unit, you've got a couple of keys. You got a menu key and then some arrows that are going to allow you to navigate the menu inside of the unit. Very easy to do. And then a focus ring up front. So in my experience, it didn't take me long at all to figure out how to use this unit and start navigating through the menu and making changes to improve my ability to use the unit. So as far as specs, I'm not going to review those. You can look those up and read about them yourself or in other review videos. What I wanted to do is take a unit that I feel like is very affordable in the realm of thermal and evaluate performance at distance. So that's what we're going to do. So pretty maybe entry-level unit, very price affordable compared to other thermal units. So really excited to see what we're able to do with this unit. Now from there, the optic is really important. So remember on thermal, it's a screen that you're looking at. There's pixels in there. So the scope you pair it with is a very important part of the equation. This is something I learned on my first range trip. I came out with the 5-25 Nightforce that was on this rifle and found 5X on the bottom end felt like too much to use with the Steiner. I couldn't zoom out far enough to fully see the menu. It was a little bit annoying. So I actually swapped to a 4-16 ATACR F1, and now that 4X on the bottom side actually pairs really well with the thermal. I'm able to see the full menu and use it much easier than even the 5X did. So for a scope, we're running the Nightforce ATACR 4-16 F1 with a Trimmer 3 reticle. And again, I feel like the Trimmer 3 reticle really allows you to be fast and efficient with long-range accuracy, especially when you're pairing with things like clip-on night vision, clip-on thermal. As far as a unit on top, we've got the Wilcox Raptor, which I'll be using as a ranging device. Obviously, thermal won't see any of the IR capabilities of the Raptor, so this will be purely a ranging unit. And remember, like I always do, I have this zeroed 5 mils below my center crosshair. So when I'm ranging, I'll be 5 mils below. Now on something like a thermal, that's not as important as it is with night vision because I'm not looking for the IR light. This thing is not going to see it. So that's the optics and ranging capabilities. The rifle is a Knights Armament SR-25 and 6.5 Creedmoor. I've got the Knights CRS suppressor on it, and I'm running Hornady 130 grain ELD bullets. So the rifle you've seen in other videos, this thing is an awesome performer. So I felt like this was a great package to bring out. Very confident in the rifle. That's going to allow us to purely look at the capabilities of the thermal when you're shooting long range. So from here, what are we going to look at? Well, there's a zeroing process in the thermal. So we're going to move down to the 100-yard range, and we're going to zero this thing. And then I'm going to go step by step and show you the different functions in the thermal. So we're going to look at things like the focus. We're going to look at the different scene colors that are available in this, as well as the different modes that are offered in this. So you really can fine tune this unit to whatever you're trying to do and whatever your preferences are. So from here, let's move down to that 100-yard range, get this thing zeroed, and then we'll move through the rest of the steps. So let's get the Steiner C35 zeroed to the 6.5 SR-25. To do that, I've set the Steiner to 0, 0 for windage and elevation. I've confirmed my 0 on my 4 to 16 without the thermal. You can see that in the picture. From there, I actually bumped the scope right a tenth, so I feel good about my 100-yard zero. Now we're going to put 3 rounds through the rifle, check where they hit, make a correction in the thermal, and go from there. So 3 rounds, 100 yards. Here we go. I'm aiming at a piece of black duct tape, which is showing up quite well in the thermal. Walk down and take a look at where we impacted. So there are 3 rounds out of the 6.5 SR-25 at 100 yards. You can see they impacted about 2.5 inches low. So to correct that in the thermal, I'm going to bump up the point of impact 2 clicks, which should be 2 minutes. Let me show you how to do that. Now that we've put our first 3 rounds down range and saw they impacted about 2 minutes low, we need to make a correction. Now you saw me earlier, I verified my day optic was zeroed, so no changes needed here. We're going to go into the Steiner and make that point of impact correction. Now to fit the full menu of the Steiner in my field of view, I've backed my scope down to 4 power, which is the bottom side. From there, we'll use the keys on top of the Steiner and we'll make our correction. So what we're going to do is use that center key to go into the menu. And then I'm going to click the down arrow to find image location adjustment. There it is. I'm going to click the center button. I want to program profile A for this rifle, so I'll click the menu button to accept it. Now you can see up at the top, I'm showing 0 for windage and 0 for elevation. Well, because I impacted low, 2 minutes, I need to click the up arrow 2 times. You could actually see it move the image, and now I'm showing a 2 in the upper right quadrant. To save it, I'll click the menu button, I'll click over to confirm, and now I have saved that 2-minute shift into profile A. Now I can click the left arrow to go back to my shooting screen, and we can check our corrections. So let's do that now with 3 more rounds. Now that we've made the 0 adjustment in the Steiner, we'll put 3 more rounds to confirm our 0. Still shooting the piece of black tape that you just saw. See how we do. Let's take a walk. Okie doke, well that worked out just like it should. You can see my last 3 rounds were right in the black tape. There appears to be 2 rounds in this right impact. That's a bigger hole than the left side, so I believe that's 2 impacts. I'd call that zeroed. One last thing I'm going to do is remove the Steiner and then reinstall it to see if it holds 0. So let's do that quick before we go shoot steel. So let's quickly just remove the Steiner and reinstall it to double check that it's going to return to the point of impact where we have it zeroed. We'll take it off, we'll flip it around, and we'll put it back on. Let's put 3 rounds. Let's go take a look at it. So I'm going to call those results satisfactory. You can see down at the bottom here, these are my first 3 rounds. We adjusted up 2 minutes and put 3 rounds in the black. Then I removed the Steiner and reinstalled it, and you can see I put 3 more rounds, still at that same point of impact. Got a little bit of a flyer there to the right, but I feel like that's about as well as I can shoot with a thermal on 8 power. So we're going to call that zeroed, and now let's try to shoot some steel. Let's take a look at the targets that we've got down range. I've got several steel plates set up, probably from about 370 to about 850 or 900 yards. So we'll take a look at the Tacticam. My scope is set to 6 power. The first target I'm looking at there is a 45% IPSC. We'll range it, 377. Then I'm going to come straight up from there. There's a 2/3 IPSC out there at 616. Now we'll pan left. You can see a 10-inch plate there. at 497. And then up and left from there is a full-size IPSC at 856. So that's what we've got for steel targets. Let's take a minute and look at the different scenery options that we have in the Steiner C35. Scope is still on 6 power, and I'm looking at my full-size IPSC out there at 855 yards. It's just to the upper left of my crosshair. Now currently I'm on black hot, and if I click on the down arrow, it's going to scroll to red hot. So there's nothing out there terribly hot, it's all gray. Iron, you can see the target is just a little light spot. Fire, again, we've still got a little light spot there for the target. Amber, little light spot. White hot, you can see it quite well, but the crosshairs are a little bit dark. And then black hot, you can clearly see where the target's at, and you can see your crosshairs to take a shot. From here, let's take a look at maybe one of the closer targets and see what it looks like. So here we are looking at the 45% IPSC at about 375 yards. Still on 6 power. The IPSC is just to the upper left of my crosshair. You can see the black dot. If I click the down arrow and scroll, red hot, you can clearly see the target, but not the crosshair. Iron, clearly target, but no crosshair. Fire, same story. Amber, you can clearly see the target, and I probably could take a shot with that crosshair. White hot, nothing in the crosshair. Black hot, again, is clearly where it's at. So when I'm engaging these targets at distance, I'm definitely going to be using black hot. Next up, what's the focus going to do for us? So on the front of the Steiner, there's a little ring. That's your focus. Now currently it's quite blurry, so I'm going to turn that. You can see the target is to the upper left of my crosshair. It's a very small window. If I keep going, I lose it. So let me go back. There we are in focus. And I'll move my crosshairs to 5 over so we can range that. That should be our target at 615. And sure enough, it is. So you can see the focus is very small window for you to make your correction, but I can leave the focus pretty well set. There's my closer target, and the image is still very clear, even with one focus setting from 350 all the way out to 850 yards. So a little bit finicky, but it seems to be very forgiving. Now that we've run through the different functions and features on the Steiner C35, let's put some rounds downrange, see what kind of impacts we can make. So I'm going to start up close and just work my way out. Still on 6 power, black hot. That first target's at 375, so that's a 1.6 mil hold. Impact. Impact. Let's push out to the 2/3 IPSC. And that is a 3.7 mil hold at 615. I'm going to try to favor pretty much dead on. Impact. Impact. One more. Impact. Let's try the 10-inch circle. $497. So that's a 2.6 mil hold. That one is hard to see. I believe that's it right there. I'm going to go dead on. Just a bit high. One more round. Thought that was an impact, but that one's hard to see. Let's move out to the far target. Full-size IPSC at 855. That's a 6.4 mil hold. Off the right edge. Impact. Pretty fun run. Hard to see that 10-inch plate at 500, but the others were all pretty obvious. And I was even able to see that miss out there at 855, so pretty solid performance for thermal on steel at long range. But just for fun, let's put some more rounds on that far target. So you can see it there 5 mils below my crosshair, so I'll range it. 858, that's 6.4 mils. Full size IPSC. I'm going to favor left to the 4-mile-an-hour wind dot. Impact. Impact. Apparently it auto shuts off, huh? Well, let's get it started over again. We were on a run there at 855. So I think that auto shut off was actually a dead battery. I believe I was just too zoomed in to actually see the battery meter. So I depleted that battery, it shut off. It won't start back up right now, so I'm gonna swap the battery. Gives me a chance to talk about the battery. So this thing runs kind of a unique battery. It's an 18650 flat top, so both ends are flat. It's not a AA. It does include one when you purchase the unit, and it includes a 2-port charger. So I purchased some extra batteries from Amazon that I've had charging, so we'll go ahead and swap it out. Rifle is safe, so the bolts to the rear, safety's on. I just unscrew the battery compartment here on the side of the unit, tip the old battery out the front, slide the new battery in with the positive to the rear, like that, and then tighten the battery compartment down. Once it's tightened down, we'll fire it back up, see if we can continue shooting. So as you can see, after the battery swap, we're back up and running, so clearly battery just went dead. I've got about 4 rounds loaded up, but what I wanted to show you quickly was the 3 different modes. So currently we're in the enhanced mode. You can see the background is very washed. There's the detect mode. You can still see the target quite well. And there is the standard mode. Kind of like that because you can see more features in the background. So let's put some rounds through standard mode. We're still out there at 855 yards. So we're at a 6.4 mil hold. And I'm going to favor left edge. Impact. Impact. Let's move back up to closer target. Let's hit that 45% IPSC at 375. That's a 1.6 mil hold. Back. Impact. Pretty awesome. So earlier today, I actually zeroed the Steiner on my ECC. I saved that as Profile C. So really quickly, what I wanted to show you was swapping to a different rifle profile and then putting a couple rounds downrange to see if we connect. So in the menu, I'm going to scroll around to Image Location Adjustment. There it is. So on the left-hand side, you probably can't see it, but I'm going to scroll down to C. So watch when I click the button, the image is going to shift. You saw that? Now I'm on this rifle 0. Now I'm going to back out. I know that 375 yards is a 2 mil hold. And I'm going to hold dead on. Impact. How slick is that? Swapping between rifles in a matter of seconds. I wanted to quickly insert myself here before this next clip and explain that when I did this, the rifle was fully safe. The bolt was to the rear, the safety was on, and then I had the thermal running with the Tacticam running. And then from there, I hopped on my 4-wheeler and I had to run downrange and work on my target. So in this video clip that you're going to see, I have the rifle pointed downrange at the full-size IPSC at 855 yards. And you can see I ride in from the left of the screen on my four-wheeler. I circle around, drop down the hill, and you can see me clearly walking around, messing with the target. I walk out to the side of the target, wave my arms to get an idea of what a full-size, roughly 6-foot-tall human would look like at 855 yards through this system. So as you can see, when I got back and reviewed the video, I was super impressed with how well you could see the four-wheeler, how well you could make out me, how well you could see my arms when I raised them. Really cool video clip that I wanted to throw in here, but I wanted to make sure you understood that when I did this, I was perfectly safe with the rifle. There was no one else around, so not a dangerous situation at all. Just a great opportunity to capture some cool content. So how cool was that? I don't know about you, but I'm quite impressed with the performance of this Steiner C35. Now, before I move into my thoughts and a quick summary of what we saw in the video, I'd love to hear in the comments, what did you think? Was I able to push this thing further than you might have imagined would be able to with clip-on thermal? Or is there anything I can do to help improve the performance of this unit? Again, I've only owned it now for a little over a week. I've only got a couple hundred rounds through it and a couple range trips. So if there's something I'm missing as far as optimizing the performance of the unit, I'd love to hear it. I'm still tweaking some of the image settings and everything in there. I'm still trying to figure out which scenery color I like to use, so still learning on the unit, but initial impressions are, I'm impressed. Now, like I say, the unit is much bigger and heavier than I expected, but we can work around that. Really anything clip-on that I've used so far is. As far as shooting performance, what did we see out there? Well, you saw me able to effectively engage targets all the way out to 855 yards, and actually that shocked me. So we actually engaged multiple targets out the distance of varying sizes. You saw me engage that 45% IPSC, 375 yards, really with no issue. That 10-inch circle at 500 yards, it was hard to see that one. It was really tough to connect with that one, even when I was practicing around off of video. I don't know if the plate wasn't hot enough or maybe the resolution isn't there to see that one, but that one was a challenge. The 2/3 IPSC at 615 yards, no problem connecting there, no problem seeing that one. And then the full-size IPSC at 855 yards, again, no problem seeing that target and no problem connecting. One thing I'm really surprised by, I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to see my misses or my impacts when using the thermal. And so far my experience has been, out here in these dry, dusty conditions, I'm able to spot those misses, and I'm able to correct like I would with night vision or just a day optic. It is kind of hard to see your impacts. If the plate swings, sometimes you can see that in there, but it is quite hard to see the impacts. I was running after dark. I'm still using my hit indicator light, and then with my left eye open, I'm able to see my hit indicator light with my eye, but not through the thermal. Obviously, the thermal is only seeing heat, so it doesn't see anything like a light. But in summary, I'm really impressed with the unit. I really like the 100-yard zero process and the ability to save 3 rifles. I've used that now on a couple rifles. It seems consistent, and it seems to work well. It's really handy to be able to correct the zero of the clip-on in the clip-on and not have to make a correction in the scope like you do with night vision. So that's pretty slick. The different scenery options are pretty awesome because depending on conditions, one of them may work better than another. I found that 100 yards, the amber color for some reason was the easiest for me to zero at 100 yards on that paper target. Not sure why, but it was. Then when I moved out here and I was shooting steel, I was on the black hot, primarily so that I could see the reticle. And then the heat of the black still showed up quite well, where I could find the targets very easy. Something else that surprised me, I was able to see the steel targets really with no issue. I thought I'd have to add maybe some external heat to the targets to be able to see them, especially after dark, but so far my experience has been the steel targets are showing up day or night without adding any kind of external heat to them. So in summary, I'm really impressed. I continue to keep running this unit. The key is pair it with the right day optic. Don't over magnify it, and it's going to work really well. So stick around. I plan to put out more content with this thing. I really want to compare it to night vision. That's going to be coming, but if you enjoy this kind of content, or maybe you want to see when that night vision versus thermal video comes out, go ahead and hit me with a subscribe. I'm really trying to grow this channel, and the best way to do that is through your engagement. So subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or hit me with a like. All of it helps. Also, if you want to engage with me, hit me up on Instagram at Mountains Mullets America. So many of you have reached out. We've had some really good conversations over there on the Instagram page. I love chatting with you. That's been one of the most fun things about starting this channel. So if you made it this far, you've stuck around a long time. I really appreciate it. I can't wait for you to join me in my next video, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you.